Imagine it's Friday night. You're sitting at a dimly lit, high-end steakhouse with your spouse. You've had a great quarter. You just checked your net worth on an app like Empower or Mint, and it says you're worth $650,000. You feel like a titan. You feel safe. The check comes. It's $185. You hand over your sleek metal credit card. The waiter comes back 90 seconds later, leaning in uncomfortably close and says, "I'm sorry, sir. This was declined." You laugh it off. Must be a glitch, man, you say. You open your banking app and your heart physically sinks into your stomach. You have 200,000 in your 401k. You have 300,000 of equity in your home. But your checking account is a desert because the mortgage just cleared, your quarterly property taxes just hit, and that automatic car insurance renewal jumped by 22%. In that moment, a cold, hard truth hits you. You aren't rich. You are just a high-income spectator of your own wealth. You are a paper millionaire trapped in an illiquidity desert. If that scenario makes you sweat because it feels a little too much like your last Tuesday, then look, we need to have a serious talk. My name is John, and I spend way too much time thinking about the $76,000 liquid wall. If you are someone who is constantly moving money around like a digital chess player just to cover the bills, even though your salary says you should be thriving, or if you feel like you're building a massive sandcastle of wealth that could be washed away by a single bad month of unemployment, you're in the right place. Here is the thing. Most of what the financial gurus tell you about net worth is a vanity metric designed to make you feel good while keeping you incredibly vulnerable to the actual physics of the economy. Today, I'm going to show you why $76,000 is the most important number in your life, and why hitting this wall changes the very chemistry of how you interact with money. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. It tells the algorithm that people actually want real, unsugar-coated financial analysis instead of the usual latte factor nonsense. Look, let's start by destroying a common assumption. We have been conditioned to worship the millionaire status. Save $1 million and you're set. Here's the problem. In the 2026 economy, the structure of your wealth matters infinitely more than the size of it. I was looking at the latest Federal Reserve data on U.S. households, and it is honestly infuriating. The average American in the top 20% of earners has a high net worth on paper, but nearly 70% of that wealth is locked. It's in a primary residence they can't sell because interest rates have made moving a financial suicide mission, or it's in a retirement account they can't touch without a 10% penalty and a massive tax bill. This is what I call the illiquidity trap. Most people think, if I lose my job, I have $500,000 in my 401k, I'll be fine. No, you won't. Now, you might be thinking, John, I can just take a 401k loan or a HELOC. Look, stop. That is a desperation move. In a real crisis, the kind where the job market shifts because of AI or a sector-wide collapse, banks tighten credit faster than you can log into your portal. If you try to pull money out of the market when it's down 25% just to pay your mortgage, you aren't just paying a penalty. You are effectively murdering your future compounded growth. Equity is a story you tell yourself. Liquidity is the tool you use to build the next chapter. Okay, let's get into the math. Why $76,000? Is it just a catchy number? No, it's calculated survival. We have to look at the survival physics of a U.S. professional household in 2026. According to recent cost of living metrics, the median monthly expenditure for a professional household in the U.S., factoring in housing, energy, and the increased cost of service-based tech, is roughly $5,400 a month. That's your burn rate. The old school advice was 3 months of expenses. That worked when jobs were stable. In 2026, if you lose a $130,000 a year job, the average pivot time to find an equivalent salary in a disrupted market is now 11 to 12 months. Let's do the math together. Grab a pen. First, the 12-month resilience fund. 5,400 times 12 months equals $64,800. This is your zero stress horizon. Second, the black swan buffer. Life doesn't ask for permission. In 2026, the average catastrophic expense, a medical deductible, a major vehicle failure, or a total tech collapse, averages out to roughly $11,200. Add them up. 64,000, 800 plus 11,000. 200 equals $76,000. This isn't just a savings account. This is your liquid wall. Once you hit this wall, you stop making desperation decisions. You can negotiate for a better job from a position of power, you can invest when the market dips, and you can sleep through a recession. This is where it gets really interesting. The difference between having $10,000 in the bank and $76,000 isn't just $66,000. It is a total neurological shift in your brain's prefrontal cortex. When you have $10,000, you are still in scarcity mode. You're one transmission failure away from a crisis. Your brain is constantly producing cortisol. You take fewer risks at work. You don't speak up in meetings because you need that next paycheck to survive the month. But when you hit the $76,000 liquid wall, your brain shifts to abundance mode. You realize you are unshakable for at least a year. Here's what most people don't realize. Your earning potential is directly tied to your willingness to take calculated risks. The person with the $76,000 wall is the person who tells their boss, "I think we're going in the wrong direction with this project," while the person with $2,000 nods and smiles because they're afraid of being fired. It's like a battery. A battery doesn't grow like a tree, but it provides the power to keep the lights on when the storm hits. If your wealth is all trees and no batteries, you're going to be sitting in the dark eventually. Now, you might be thinking, "John, $76,000 is a lot of money to just sit there. I'm losing 3 to 4% to inflation." Look, let's address the inflation objection directly. Yes, inflation exists, but let's look at the actual numbers in 2026. If you have that $76,000 in a high-yield savings account or a money market fund earning 4.5 to 5%, you aren't losing money. You are actually gaining a small real return. But even if you were losing 2% a year, that is a security premium. You pay for car insurance, right? You pay $2,000 a year for car insurance and you hope you never use it. You don't call your insurance agent at the end of the year and complain that you didn't get a return on your premium. The cost of holding $76,000 liquid is the insurance premium you pay to ensure that you never have to sell your long-term investments at a 30% loss during a market crash. It is the cheapest insurance policy you will ever buy. So, how do we actually build this? Because I know $76,000 sounds like a mountain when you're starting at zero. Here is the 3-step liquidity ladder I want you to use. Step 1. The immediate foundation. $5,000. This stays in your standard checking account. It's for the oops moments, the flat tire, the broken phone. Step 2. The yield core. $5,000 to $40,000. This goes into a separate high-yield savings account at a different bank. Why? Because of the friction insight. If you have to wait 2 days for a transfer, you won't spend it on a spontaneous impulse buy. Step 3. The resilience tier. $40,000 to $76,000. This is where it gets professional. Use 4-week Treasury bills. They are state tax exempt, they are backed by the U.S. government, and they roll over every month. They are effectively cash, but they pay you to be patient. I knew a guy, let's call him Dave. Dave had $1.2 million in net worth, but $1 million was his house and $200,000 was his 401k. He had $2,000 in cash. Dave's company downsized him. Dave panicked. He had to take a hardship withdrawal from his retirement. He paid a 10% penalty, 24% in taxes, and lost the 15% market gain that happened 3 months later. That $10,000 he needed to survive ended up costing him $25,000 in total wealth. Sarah had the same job, same house, but she had her $76,000 liquid wall. When she got the same news, she didn't panic. She said, Okay, I have 12 months to find my dream job. She didn't sell a single share of stock. Sarah used the wall. Dave was crushed by his own kingdom. Once you hit $76,000, here's the secret. You stop saving. Yes, you heard me. Once the wall is built, every single dollar you earn above your expenses goes into high-growth assets. Most people are perpetually saving small amounts and investing small amounts, never feeling safe in either. But when the wall is done, you become an aggressive investor. You can afford to be bold because your bedrock is indestructible. Look, I know it's hard. I know the cost of living in 2026 is frustrating, but I'm telling you, the peace of mind on the other side of that $76,000 number is unlike anything else in finance. Freedom isn't not working. Freedom is not worrying. If you're at $1,000 right now, great. Aim for 5,000, then 10,000. Brick by brick, build your wall. Don't get distracted by the get-rich-quick plays. Focus on the liquidity. If you found this breakdown helpful, comment "the wall" below so I know you made it to the end. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Insightful Ideas. We don't do surface level advice here, we do meaningful ideas. Go build your wall. I'll see you in the next one.